one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Anybody else been stuck in traffic today?
Real bad, huh?
I took the 94.
It's gonna be like that all week.
Saved 20 minutes.
Everybody going to different.
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes, gas at 8 points.
You got it.
All right. Let's see. Number one is vacant. Two, Richard Blaisdell. Three, the Joe.
Bill goes sick. Yeah.
Four is myself present. Five, Mr. Romero.
Yeah, he's got an excuse absent too. He had an appointment he had to go to. Bill goes sick.
Number six is Steve.
Here.
Number seven is Nick.
Present.
Okay, now number 4 is approval of the minutes. Now, I looked at the minutes, and she sent something out this morning, but when I looked at it, it was all October 22nd, 2022.
Yeah, I called her, or I texted her and I asked her if she had them for this month. She said, well, I sent them last Friday. So then I looked way back down, and she had sent the correct ones last Friday.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay,
but I had missed them myself, so she resent it to me.
okay, good, good. Do I have a motion?
I did the minutes, so I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All approved? All opposed? All right. Announcements. The planning group welcomes Nicholas Edward. I don't want to butcher your last name.
You and this time.
Okay. To the seat 7, the group has one more vacancy left in seat 1 as revised 223 holiday meeting schedule. December meeting will be changed to the 4th Monday of the month to the 3rd Monday to accommodate Christmas. So the same thing this month as next month too. It'll be on the 3rd Monday because of Christmas. Any questions? All right, public discussion. At this time, the public is invited to speak on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Public speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Rupert Pedder, and I live in Boulevard, California. I want to let all the communities out here that I'm going to throw a Christmas festival on my ranch. And what it's going to be is a lot of displays that I'm trying to get people to volunteer to set up Christmas displays. It's going to be able to drive through the ranch and stand. I'm going to have warming fires. I'm going to have petting zoo, hopefully a live activity scene. I have at least 20 people that are going to set up displays now. I'm going to have food vendors, cookies, chocolate, stuff like that. I have a poster that I hope your board will put up somewhere where they think it's a prominent thing. It's being called Rancho Cielo Azul Presents Christmas on the Ranch. It's on the 2 weekends of the 9th and the 10th, and then the 16th and 17th. It's free. I will take donations, and the vendors will take donations, but it's free. And I'm hoping everybody will come and share. I think our community needs things like this. I have 40 acres in front of my house that I've been clearing and diligently trying to get ready for this event. I'm looking for more people to set up this place because 40 acres is quite a bit to fill up. But I've gotten donations from all the markets in Boulevard. Hakuma Hotel is going to donate something. I have some people in Alpine donating some stuff. So I hope one of you guys can, I'm thinking that maybe the hardware store up here, I don't know where most people will see this sign. I can make some more, or maybe somebody else can just copy it. And then these flyers I also have made, make some copies and give it to the community. I'm doing my part to come in Boulevard, and I put it on Facebook and all the other areas, but it's still not getting as much publicization as I want. But I've only been doing it a week and a half or so. So hopefully you guys will be on board with me. Like I said, it's free. I'm going to take toys as donations. I mean, a donation of toys and hand them out to the kids. And I know a lot of other entities are doing that. But I think our communities have a lot of people that need a lot of stuff, even if it's repeated and over, because most of the kids don't get that kind of stuff.
Where's your reach?
It's on Old Highway 80, right across from the substation. It's 40, all the information, so 40760 Old Highway 80. Yeah, and I'm making 2 entrances, 1 entrance in, 1 entrance out. I'm actually looking for a load of sand to fill in my second entrance. I was shoveling it off the road today, Joe. But anyway, hopefully, here it is. I'll leave it here. Hopefully you guys will participate in this event. I think our community needs it. I don't know any other place except Rancho Santa Fe that even attempts this. And they will have to, I'm gonna have a big liability sign because I have a ranch. I run a B&B out of my ranch too. But I do have a big sign I'm gonna put liability and they'll just read it and sign it as they go in. That's all I'm asking.
Can I take a photo of your sign? Can I take a photo of your sign?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this for you guys though, okay? And then this, I made 100 copies and I already got rid of all. Did that and this.
Just post on my social media.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I get all, I got Mountain Empire Boulevard, Cumba, and my new group, I started my own advisory group, it's called Voice of Boulevard, and it's coming along because a lot of our planning groups are kind of held at bay, I feel. That's just my opinion, by Joe Anderson, the supervisor's offices. I'm going by on him. That's all I gotta say, thank you.
The gentleman over here.
Just a real quick update on the Crescent Cemetery project proposal. I spoke with Jay this past 2 weeks ago, and it turns out that their little weekend rendezvous trying to extend in a road has been rejected now, and so now they're going to have to go through the full permit process to be able to get that road onto the property. Inside of that, Public Works will have to come out and do a site inspection and actually take a look at the blind corner that's there, as well as the obstruction from the hillside as well, all the obstruction that's part of that turn. So everybody that jumped up and made noise made a difference, and that's really cool. But that's where it's at right now. So we're on hold currently.
No, I'm at a meeting.
The paperwork has been submitted to Public Works and to the other people that have to get the paperwork. And the word is that it's sitting in their sack of stuff waiting for them to get around to it. It sounds like they probably won't get to it much before the holidays have passed. But you know how that goes. That could change in a second. But that's kind of the feel I got from it when I talked to her, that we're still probably...
Okay.
I talked to her 2 weeks ago. She said that's 6 to 8 weeks out. So 2 weeks got used up since then. But, things don't move in the holidays. So I don't look for there to be anything really to happen there until after the first of the year. But that's kind of what it's at. If you have any questions, I'll answer or help out. But that's where I'm at right now on it.
And have you noticed the water runoff from the rain?
Well, obviously, we've gotten a fair amount of rain already, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist, and you don't have to have great eyes. If you drive by from Old 80, you can see that the road that they cut in to build the well, that's washing it away. And then if you were to see where my water tank is and my grain bins are, you'll see that the other road that they cut to go up and around the hill, that's now starting to wash down towards my property and towards the road as well. So it's
Is there a water
definitely-
tank on the other side over there?
Yeah, I have a water tank on my side, yeah. With some drain bins.
Any other comments? All right, no new business, so the old business is, Alan Young, San Diego Gas and Electric, the floor is yours.
Lawrence Obstetic, Manager of Distributed Energy Resources.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Dallin Young, Public Affairs Manager with SDG&E. Good to be back here again today. We were here in September, came to speak about our microgrids more generally and how we incorporate those into our service territory generally. Also, we discussed how we are able to engage those in both unplanned and planned outages. I know there were still a few more questions about all of that. We're happy to answer those questions here today as well. I think there's some questions on what are the critical facilities that the Cameron Corners microgrid services, and those critical facilities that are connected to it right now are the Camp Lockett Middle School, AT&T Communications facility, the library, Cal Fire Station 40, San Ysidro Health, and then a gas station and a convenience store.
It's 2 gas stations, a convenience store, the strip mall, and the taco shop is the other one you mentioned. Yeah. So 11 businesses in total. So basically all those critical customers, right? The corner and the junction.
Yeah, so those are the ones we have currently. So going to pass it off here to Laura. We have some new batteries that are going in there, and I'm going to pass it off to Lawrence to talk about those. Melinda will be talking about the schedule and the timeline of the construction of that project. And then after that, we can answer any questions that everybody has. But before I do turn over to Lawrence to talk about the new batteries that are going in there, do just want to make a brief statement about the batteries that were previously there. Batteries that were there were from ESS. They were our supplier, and both SDG&E and ESS have agreed to move forward separately from our contract. And the ESS full batteries are no longer at the Cameron Corners site. As with any new technology, both SDG&E and ESS have learned throughout our engagement, and we'll be incorporating what we have learned or those findings into our respective organizations. So with that, I hope we're going to answer a lot of questions from both Lawrence and Melinda, and then again, happy to answer any questions after that. Okay? Yes?
Before we do that, can you answer the questions that you said you were going to answer when you came back?
That's what I'm hoping they can ask you today. Or answer
Do
you
you have
today.
a list of the questions?
I don't know.
Now you got to answer.
That's what we're hoping to answer.
So you didn't take a list of all the questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Once again, my name is Lawrence Obstetic. My team manages the temporary and permanent microgrids that SDG&E deploys. We have experience with both energy storage and conventional generators. So the new battery that's being deployed is a vanadium redox flow battery. This is our second deployment of this type of battery from the same vendor. Our first one is actually in Bonita, California. That's a 2 megawatt hour battery. It's been in service since June 2017. Participates in the ISO marketplace and also has microgrid capabilities. And that one has actually had the highest availability rate out of a lot of our fleet, somewhere close to 97.8%. So it's a very well high performing asset. The new battery we'll be deploying here at Cameron Corners is a 500 kilowatt, 4 megawatt hour battery. You'll see the picture, the way it's going to be laid out. It's not 6 separate containers. This now has 2 40-foot containers, which stores all the electrolyte, and then the actual cell stacks are actually on top of it on a 20-foot container. So that's going to be the newest arrangement. The largest arrangement of this battery and this style of battery is in Hokkaido, Japan. It's over 60 megawatt hours, and it's performed very well since at least 2021. And this will be the second deployment of that style of battery and the second deployment of a vanadium redox flow battery in North America. We do have, like as I mentioned before, some really good performance metrics that this battery has met with our company. And there is no other flow battery like this that's grid interconnected. So, with that being said, we'll talk a little bit more of the schedule, but where we are today and what we're doing, as a mitigation, if there's going to be any forced unplanned outages, or planned outages, is we currently have our mobile battery, which is a 375 1499 kilowatt hour mobile battery. It's basically a Tesla power pack on top of a low-boy trailer bed. And we have also two 275 kVA generators on site at the Cameron Corners microgrid yard. The last time we operated was October 16th and 17th to accommodate a planned outage. We apologize that there was a short interruption in the beginning and the end, but we need an interruption to make sure that the system is completely safe for our field workers so that they can do their work safely. And we also apply all of our lockout tagout in the field as well. Once that's all applied, then we're able to turn on our temporary assets. In the future, our new battery will actually have its own microgrid controller that will be dispatched from our control center in Mission Valley. In most cases, that'll allow for a seamless transition to the microgrid during a planned event or when we know of a PSPS event, right? But for a forced outage, meaning unplanned, our current protocol is not to automatically transfer to the microgrid without completing a full assessment first. It's what we actually have to do to make sure that the general public and our field personnel are safe. So we actually have to wait for a troubleshooter to show on scene to ensure that the area is safe, and then safely isolate any damage if there is anything that exists, and then we'll engage the microgrid as necessary. So that's our current operating procedure that we'll be using here at Cameron Corners, the same one that we use with other microgrids in our service territory and wherever we deploy temporary microgrids.
I think the other component of that, there is solar that's still actively out there. So that was the first phase of the construction was the solar and the battery. Obviously the batteries are gone until the new situation or the new batteries come in. The solar is still active, so that is a component of the microgrid functionality. And so to speak to the batteries as well, so previously we had 6 40-foot containers, lithium-ion flow, or not lithium-ion, or sorry, iron flow. The same exact technology here, it's just a different configuration. So still the iron flow battery, not lithium. You're just having the 4 containers on the ground and then 1 on top. So you won't see that full array like we did before, but similar technology as what was previously installed in Cameron Corners. So, and then I don't know what any of the other questions that we wanted to address. Happy to run through those. But basically at this point, we've removed the old batteries. We demolition the old foundations that were under those batteries. Starting in about February, March timeframe, we are going to rebuild the foundations that will go under these batteries. And then you should start seeing these show up in the May, June timeframe. And then it takes about 2 months to commission, and then it's back to standard operating procedure. Mobile battery won't be utilized, generators won't be utilized, the batteries themselves will be utilized at that point. So, what other questions are, I guess anyone?
I got a whole bunch for you, Melinda.
No worries.
Okay, are these batteries the same ones that are across from me?
No.
Okay, but what maybe everybody does not know, my property lies straight across the road from the substation and the lithium battery plant that is not active currently, right?
It is active.
It is active now, okay. So, what are you going to do for the erosion and environmental part of this? Because I am not satisfied with what you guys have done for me. You guys just spent well over $50,000 trying to make water run uphill, in my opinion. I'm still getting runoff from the substation. I'm still getting runoff from the lithium battery plant. It's pretty much been proven. Yet that helped. The little drainage ditch you put in, it helped, but it's not solving my problem. Your claims guy is avoiding me. I spent 16 months fixing my road. I have documents, I have pictures, I have everything. You guys are not taking care of the community. And then on the other thing is, you're headed west from my property with all this undergrounding. You're putting walls here and there and everywhere. So my opinion is you're trying to get your power to Alpine, to the proposed lithium battery plant there. So you have an agenda Okay, I'm not sure, but that's my opinion. But if you're gonna keep doing these things out here, you need, because I'm the lone ranger where I live, I have no neighbors. And you guys are fighting me and arguing and fussing your claims on me. And I'm not mentioning other names, but I got a lot of evidence. I have your engineers saying that it's a substation. I took pictures and the person that's doing that construction.
Mr. Pedger, we want to talk about Cameron Corners and the community.
No, because this is gonna do the same thing, you're gonna do the same thing in Cameron Corners. Okay, then I want you to come to my advisory meeting next month on December 2nd and present what's going on in my life in our community in Boulevard. Because I see the same thing gonna happen. You guys promise things and you don't fulfill them. And if you don't wanna talk about Boulevard, fine, but I think, I was here at the time you came here with your first meeting, and he's right, Corey's right. You didn't take notes. And your people that come out to the jobs don't take notes, except one person I know, and he's great at it. You guys need to, when you come to mine, my board is itemizing, figuring out what's on the top of the agenda. We're gonna present you with what you need to come prepared to do. We don't want this, we don't know shit. I'm sorry, but I don't want it. But I want you to say, yes, you will come to my meeting, I will have most Boulevard there. Okay? And I'll leave it here for today.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a question.
I have several actually. It's kind of a series of questions. So you're charging batteries, you're not making power, right? I mean, I'm slow, but you're not making any power at these power stations, right?
At this facility, there's 875 kW solar PV array,
Okay,
and that is generating electricity
okay.
for the grid and for the batteries to charge.
Okay, so the solar powers are creating power for these batteries, feeding the batteries, right? And then are these batteries just sitting there idle all the time, fully charged, or are you pulling power out of those batteries throughout the day?
Yeah, they'll cycle. Naturally, they'll cycle because they're in the ISO marketplace. So the ISO will be using it, for whatever they need for energy or for ancillary services. And then when we need it for a possible PSPS or for an emergency, we take it out of the market and then we take control of it from our mission control center.
So then it sounds to me like you're generating power during hours that I get charged less, and then you're turning around and holding that power and then selling it to me when you charge me more for power.
They're dispatched by the ISO in Folsom, California. So they have a direct line to the assets, and they're the ones who are actually dispatching it.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is you're generating power during non-peak hours. You're holding the power, and you're selling it to me what you're calling peak hours now, where you charge me twice as much to run my laundry.
So basically the way it works is power is consistently flowing to the grid. So when everyone comes home 4 to 9 and energy goes up, energy usage goes up, then what we can push goes up, right? Because there's more grid availability requiring that energy usage. So it does just kind of keep that even keel in the grids instead of having a wave. It tries to keep it consistent, which then when you get big waves, that's what causes shutoffs. That's where those blackouts and brownouts happen because it's too strong of a pull to where you need to have something like stabilizing, like the solar, the battery energy.
I understand your point there, but for SDG&E,
From a rate perspective.
from a rate perspective, SDG&E, just my experience with SDG&E over the last 25 years now with you guys. You are the second most expensive thing on my building project 20 years ago. The second most expensive thing I had was getting put into the grid. So then I got done there, and ever since then, over the past 20 years, my bill has consistently gone up. Not with inflation, but way, like crazy up, as far as proportion to everything else. So, and then you started coming up with this whole peak hour thing, which is when I'm home and when I'm awake, because I got out of bed at night in order to go, I can't do laundry at 2 in the morning. So, you charge me now more to do my laundry than you used to charge me. And you're making this power at the times that you're saying I'm supposed to be doing these things when I'm at work, because I can't do these things while I'm at work doing the things that I'm doing. And so, over the course of the last 20 years, I used to get maybe a power outage once every 2 or 3 years. Now I get one 2 or 3 times a year for 4 to 5 days while the wind's blowing because you can't get the power on anymore. And so over the past 20 years, I've seen my service drop and my bill triple. And now you're telling me that you're generating power at the hours that you're telling me I'm supposed to be using it, but you're charging me at a rate at this non-peak rate situation. It's not when you're actually generating the power. So it sure does seem like sitting from where I'm sitting, y'all got the card stacked 100% in your deck, and all I can do is write you the check. And it doesn't matter what you're doing in the community, because you don't care about service. Just my thoughts out loud. I don't know how you guys justify that billing me at a peak rate when you're generating this power when you're not peak out. Doesn't seem right.
Okay, I'm gonna follow up on his.
Do they have an
So
answer?
there's a few different items there to unpack. So when we're generating power during the day, that is when a lot of renewable energy kicks in, especially solar, which is what we're using to charge the batteries that are on site. The reason why energy goes up later in the day is because we lose a lot of the solar power that is generated. We have to go to other means of generation to provide to supplement the high demand, peak demand during 4 to 9 p.m. So you're losing a big asset in solar, and that's when people use it later on after solar is no longer generating. So that's what a lot of this is being built for, is to level out that demand so that we can take the excess solar that we're generating during the day and move it into the later hours of the day when we're not having as much generation, but we still have that energy that is stored in banks.
So then what's the schedule to drop the bill off that too?
I'm sorry?
So if you're gonna go down that road, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So where's the schedule on when we get to this point, your bill's gonna drop by this percentage because now we're gonna be able to use that power that we generated during these hours. Because now we burden your community with these solar plants and these batteries that we don't know what they're gonna do to us long term and everything else. And so we're taking all the burden of that, and that power's going everywhere. You can't prove that it's staying here in Campo. That power's in the grid, it's going everywhere. So we're gonna take the burden again, just like we did the power link 20 years ago when we got stuck with the power links, when it was supposed to go north. And so now you're gonna stick us with the burden of all these little battery units throughout our backcountry. And there's no schedule of, hey, when we get 5 plants in, your bill's dropping 20%. We don't get any of that. We just get our bill continuing going up at the same time that you're burdening our community with your solar plants and your batteries and all the things that can pollute everything that we live for. And so I don't see where this is any kind of a just relationship.
So when it comes to the rates, a lot of that is wildfire mitigation. That is a lot of what is being added to our rates, and that is a lot in this backcountry area where a lot of the wildfire potential is. So that's kind of one aspect of it on the rates, and then when it comes to these microgrids that we're putting also throughout our service territory, lots of those are in the backcountry areas as well, so that we can keep critical facilities energized when there's a PSPS event or in case of emergencies or wildfire. So we're doing everything that we can to bring resources back to the backcountry areas and keep folks energized during any potential emergency.
So in your answer right there, you got fundamental problem with your answer. You just ran a power link through our backcountry, and at the same time you're saying that the majority of the mitigation you're having to spend money on to stop the fires is on us, and so therefore that burden falls on us. But at the same time, on another breath, you're willing to run these high voltage power lines on both sides of my house in order to feed the towns, and yet you're saying that I'm the cause of why all this cost is out there. I don't understand how you get it both ways. You get to run the big lines through so that you can feed dirty power from Mexico that you call the Sunrise Power Link, which if you follow it, it goes right into Mexicali. It's not hard to see. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. It runs right through our yards, and then you come here and you say the reason why your bills are so high is because you have all this fire mitigation, when at the same time you're running all this high voltage power through here. I don't see how you guys make that up.
Again, those are all kind of like separate.
No, you're
items.
not.
I don't know.
No, you're
Especially
not. You're
transmission.
avoiding the subject
One
again. And I'm gonna
aspect of
tell
it.
you why. I got 40 solar panels, and you guys adjust my tier levels so you keep me at bay. In August, my solar panels produced $2,500 in credits with you guys, and you still billed me $350. And you're talking about fire mitigation, that's all bull too. Because I'm on the east side of your plant, and you're headed west, and I will be the last one to get offered fire mitigation or the underground lines to my place. So you guys, you know what? All 3 of you work for SDG&E, and you're protecting your job, and you're not telling the truth. And another thing on top of the substations and all these battery plants, if you go down the lakeside, if you go down the Rancho San Diego, they got block walls surrounding them. If it's truly fire mitigation, why aren't we getting those kinds of protection? The other thing is, Melinda, you talked way back in the day, our CAL FIREs are not trained or have the equipment in case of an emergency. You promised to do something about that. She did. She did. And it's, now it's publicly known because it was privately known. And the CAL FIRE has not taken her offer yet because it's during the fire season right now. But I'm making SDGD stick to their promise. And then on the other part of the fire mitigation, you guys keep sitting out there. You know the shrubs behind that lithium battery plant are within 15 to 20 feet. But you told me, the lady who owns the property, that that's her problem because it's her property. But you leased her property to stage your whole event there.
So just correction on that one, we staged by her well house, which we returned, we actually did just walk out and let that, her private property.
Right,
with
I
her.
saw it, and you guys let the birdie and you did the
Yeah,
overspray and all
we-
this stuff.
We can't, if she wants to keep her vegetation, I can't go into. her
Well,
private
have you asked her,
property.
because I spoke?
I have. We just
No,
walked it 2
she's
weeks
not
ago.
she's not set on worrying about 30-foot back of vegetation.
Campo and.
Sir, you haven't been out there, Melinda's barely out there.
You're talking about camp corners.
No, don't do that because all this involves the whole area, all the communities, because you're going from one community, you're going from Boulevard, Cumbo, I don't know what you've done in Cumbo, but the solar farms took care of Cumbo. So you guys are avoiding the situation, like Corey said earlier, you didn't take notes on everything that we asked last time, and half the people aren't even here that asked some of the questions. So you didn't come prepared again. And I'm calling BS on all this, and you know, I'm the kind of guy, I go to the top, I'm tired of working at the way to the bottom, like I say, with your claims officers and everybody else, and then another gal that told me, send everybody my way, and then they get the runaround. It's a lot of BS, and because, you know what I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys think of Campo Boulevard, especially Boulevard and Cumbo, that were piss little towns that don't count, but you need our sun, our water, our wind, to produce all your energy. You made us a valuable resource and you need to pay for it.
Boober, I appreciate your enthusiasm.
No?
You got
Two,
I
you
know
look good.
you're working towards it, and let's just try to be respectful. Good.
I'm being nice.
Well, a couple, but I was gonna try and reiterate what he's saying in a less emotional manner. So you're saying to isolate it to Campo, but he's saying the example of facility you've built near him. Are you going to use the same mitigation processes here in Campo, or are you improving the process learning from what you did before? That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah. in
So let's
terms-
touch that.
Yeah, so in
That-
terms of clearing and grubbing around from a vegetation perspective, so we do own the land around Cameron Corners. So that's something we can work with the community and the fire department. That's really who we work with, as Patrick knows. We do try to get the fire department out and say, what is that offset distance that we need to clear for vegetation? And what is the training that needs to take place, whether it's a lithium or it's the iron flow type battery? And we run through those training scenarios with the local
Real quick, Melinda, what is the distance you need that you think is considered safe around
So-
fence of the lithium?
From a former wildfire mitigation, myself, 100 feet.
Well, why is there only like 15
Because
feet?
that is private property, I cannot.
But you know what, you're making us change our whole lives and our whole properties. The fire department wants us to clear, 50 foot away,
I
nothing
mean,
over
that's
18
something
feet.
that if that private property owner says she grants us the ability to do that, we're happy to work with her and do that.
Okay, besides what she's saying though, Melinda, what, the safety of the plant and everything else, put the block wall around it, that would kind of solve my
So
problem.
the
wouldn't it?
substation I can't speak to, so I
Okay, but
understand
see,
that.
again, we're
But
avoiding the
that's something
subject.
I know Joe and I talked about that you had brought up to him, so we can take that back and we can approach that with the substation team.
Okay.
For the battery
Okay.
plant itself, there is non-conductive fiberglass fence around it. Those batteries do have fire suppression systems built in.
I understand that, but we still have a containment area around it, right?
We do
But
not.
you-
We have
Well,
containment
your
around
first,
the
your first
inverters.
Lithium Valley, after you told me that
We
you
have
were gonna have a
containment around
containment
the
area around it.
inverters, the batteries themselves.
And this
are
gentleman kind of
self-contained.
alluded that everything's safe. Nothing's safe out here unless you lived out here and deal with the weather, the fires, you don't
Sir,
know.
you don't know where I live. I live in a
Well-
community very much like this.
Well, build a plant by your
With all due
house.
respect, I do hear what everyone's saying. We do understand, and we're trying, that's why we're here, right? We want to answer the questions. We want to be respectful to the community and try to be, help where we can.
I hope so.
What was the issue with CAL FIRE?
So they, right now it's fire season, and so they didn't want to dedicate the resources to do the training with us at this time. But as soon as they're out of high fire season, then they're going to come to Boulevard and any of our other microgrids that were just built. because 4 were built just recently, and they're gonna do training with the local staff and crews.
How long does that training take?
Generally, I mean, it's up to the.
Well, I mean, like, is it like a
Generally,
one-day
it's
course, is it a week-long course? Like, how much time do you need to
So-
into it?
Quarterly, we do meet with CAL FIRE, and we actually run them through just a general overall, like, what is this technology? What is that's new to the market? What is the lithium technology? How should you suppress that? We look at recent events that maybe happened in Arizona or other states, even Tesla cars, right? What is that approach?
What do you
And
find
then-
with the salt water?
What do you fight with? So there is fires, there is bombs that can go off, there's fire suppression systems in the batteries themselves. So it actually self-contains in the container itself, so it's that 20-foot container self-contains.
And do you think do you think those are adequately covered right now with the fire suppression that is on site, built in? Like, is it designed to extinguish itself?
Or the, yes,
So-
for the lithium, yes, yeah. So these are a different technology, they're anti-flammable. So, yeah. So
But
these
it's
are
not
different.
proven yet, right? I'm
No,
old
this is
man,
proven.
tested time proves
This
everything.
is proven, this has been around. So
It's been
that
around
is-
since
yeah.
1970.
One time you said, the latest one is what you said earlier. What was
So
it?
we have experience with this type of battery since 2017. We have the other assets in Bonita, 2 megawatt, 8 megawatt hour
But
battery.
even 2017 is not that long.
But the
Well,
technology
it's
is.
been around since
Okay, you
1971.
guys can count until you blew the
Yeah,
face,
but
right?
each of those containers too that Mr. Pedron's referring to actually has a hose connection. So you can directly put the fire hose into it also to further suppress the system. So there's e-stops on every container, there's e-stops in the plant itself, same with here.
But that's,
So,
So
But-
they're self-contained, basically.
yes, yeah.
So the
But-
Halon system, what was
I'm sorry?
it? Is it a Halon system?
Yes, yeah, similar to that. Internal, yeah.
This,
So back to my original question. How many of these, and you probably don't have an answer tonight, but you can write this question down and come back another time and give me the answer. How many of these will it take to drop my power bill? It's just that simple. If we're gonna put in power plants and it's supply and demand, and that's how capitalism works, and then you have more supply and demand, and it crashes. So next time you come back and tell me how many of these it will take to drop my power bill significantly. I'm really interested in that. And we're gonna have to look at these things, you're gonna be building these all over the backcountry. I'm sure Mr. Northcote would love his power bill to go down if you're gonna put in more power plants.
Yeah.
So if you could come up with how many of those it takes to drop my power bill and by how much, boy, it'd be a lot easier to stomach this.
You know what's funny, Melinda? Email today. Be an advocate to lower your electric bill. Electric bill relief. Well, you keep raising our bills, so that when you lower them $10, it looks like something. You're like Joel Anderson's office. You send out information that you don't think people are going to really look at, and it's all a show.
I have a few different questions. So basically, I think the consensus that I'm taking is what is the benefit to the community? So you're saying that this microgrid powers the Cameron Farmers facilities over there, but then you're also saying that it feeds the main grid. Is there a reserve capacity here that's basically earmarked for Cameron Farmers? Does it always keep a minimum state of charge? And how long will that state of charge power that area? How long will it be gas, ice, all that stuff?
So once it is microgrid mode, it's 24/7. So it will hold that community. It's actually enough energy to add more infrastructure. Like I think a general store just got built out there, so we're looking at connecting that general store. Dollar General, I believe it is. But it will run 24/7 through that.
So no matter how much you share with the main grid,
Well,
there will always be enough
microgrid
power.
mode is just for Cameron Corners.
But that, okay, so that's what you're saying, but then his contradictory statement says that basically the equivalent of the PUC or the LE called it, Fresno or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying they have control of this.
So
You're saying it's a
yeah.
microgrid, so is it a microgrid or is it part of the main grid?
So
Clarify.
yes, so if there was an outage that we know about, for instance, a PSPS, public safety power shutoff,
Yeah,
we
initials, like, use real words.
yeah, public safety power shutoff.
We aren't in your industry, so I can give you acronyms all day long, but you're gonna understand what I'm talking about.
So if there was a public safety power shutoff that was in the forecast due to high winds, we would take it out of the market 5 days in advance, bring it up to the proper state of charge. In this case, with the amount of sun that we get here, for this type of year in the fall, we would take up to about 40 to 50%, and then we would allow the battery to run on its own. But once we isolate the load, that's not all the overhead.
So you have analysts basically determining the weather
Yes, it's
forecast.
all
right, if this-
predetermined, yes.
So it basically, layman's terms, it basically has a train track in there, and you divert where the power's going. So it's on the main track where you take your magic crystal ball and you say it's gonna be windy, charge it up, and then change the track.
Yeah, so there's an
Okay.
overhead circuit coming in. When it's in grid mode, it's going overhead. When it's in microgrid mode, then it's underground.
So the benefit to the community of this system is that the camera at the corners, businesses will operate.
Yes.
Okay. But no residential benefit, just the
Unless
commercial
there's a
side.
residence that's on that circuit, and I don't believe there are any.
So the question on that too, the next, well, questions, I have two more questions. So all of the, I live off of La Posta, so there's been a lot of power outages going on for system upgrades, very big, whatever. Is this part of it, or is there some other shenanigans going on?
No, we're actually
Why do
using-
we keep losing power? It's not the weather.
We've actually been using the microgrid to reduce the outage times. So we've actually been in service on the 17th and 18th and for other events in August. If it wasn't for that, we would be out for 8 to 9 hours in duration for the Cameron Corners area. And back to the loading thing that we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier. I guess to make it simple, we were at about 100 kilowatts for the last event in October 17th and 18th, and we're sized for 500, so we're 1/5 the capacity.
Especially with giant capacitor.
Yeah. It's same thing, yeah, same thing. But back to what I was saying, we have enough capacity, and we have been using it for planned outages. And if it were a forced outage, we would, like I said earlier, we would ensure that it's safe before we would engage it. But it is available to be used.
So if we had a major catastrophe in, say, San Diego County, like a major fire in another area, and our power was going to be turned off here for, say, 6 days, this system would run indefinitely at that time?
Yes. As long as the sun shines during the day.
Yeah,
But if it doesn't, we have backup generators we can use.
yeah, really the reason this community, why we looked at it, because I think it was 2019 into 2020, there was a lot of major outages, and a lot of people lost their ice, lost their fuel, lost a lot of food in the general stores. I mean, that was a big impact, right? So this area and connecting all those businesses is why we consider it a critical need.
I have a question. I'm wondering how you're gonna be able to predict 5 days in advance when the weather's only right maybe 10% of the time?
Yeah, we have our own meteorology staff, and I see where you're coming from. They used to report to me, but we collect data every 10 minutes. And with that, we were able to put together quite a bit of data that allows us to, I don't want to say predict, but forecast and understand the trends. And we have a lot of historical data that goes back to 2010 now. So more than a decade's worth of data that helps us trend the events. This last event that we had here a few weeks ago, where we had an adverse Santa Ana event, we knew exactly where the winds were, and we were actually staged in the right places because we have well over 180 anemometers throughout the service territory, especially in the wind-prone areas. So I totally get what you're saying, there's no crystal ball, but we got a pretty good idea, and we're usually staged in the right places and mobilized to be prepared to respond to these type of events.
And I would say too, if we see something potentially coming up, we prepare as if it is. So even if it's a low percentage, the assumption is we don't want to run the risk of them not being ready for it. We would rather prep the microgrid to be ready to go in that instance, right? So.
I mean, an example is the hurricane, or, I mean, we got alerts, I think one day between AT&T, SDG&E, and we must have had 8 or 10 or 12 phone calls, everything. And then what happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's also, I mean, that's an example of,
Yeah, but
you
usually
can't
when it's
depend
when
on-
You're getting the alert, we've already prepared as if it is happening. So that's where the microgrid would be set up, just in case, right?
And just on that little note, us out here, living out here, we gotta prepare too. And
Right,
then, and then, but if it's a false alarm, we're spending money maybe sick
Yeah.
people don't have.
Yeah.
You guys should reimburse us. You're the ones that warned us. I'm okay, but I know a lot that aren't. So maybe you have to be a little more diligent on, and I'm not saying you're not trying, but everything out here is costing the back country. And most of your energy is getting sold somewhere. That's my opinion. So, like I said, you have made us available resource, and you need to share the wealth. We can't really stop you, but you guys need to be fair with our communities.
On this last PSPS event, I think this was the first one that we've ever had that we didn't have to de-energize any customers. So this one was an outlier, but it was for the better. We're very glad that we didn't have
That
to
was
de-energize.
one. Most of the time, we're all in alert, and we're all not sleeping, and we're all worried about what's going on. I was a water tender out here during the fires, and I don't care what you guys say, unless you live through it, nothing's foolproof out here.
So with your weather, for example, I watch the weather get hot too. It's very close to what I do for work. But they're predicting like 50-mile-an-hour gusts on Wednesday. So what do you do to anticipate that? Like, what's your threshold for these PSPSs?
We look at the live fuel moisture levels,
Okay.
and we're using that to gauge our level of response, along with where the winds are blowing and which wind point areas.
So I know there's lots of information on your website. Is that potential shut-off risk available to the public? Like, can you share that with the community, or?
And we have to, we're mandated by the CPC to report
Yeah.
it how many days, like 3 days in advance, and then 24 hours in advance, and then 12 hours in advance.
But with all of the stuff on there, it's kind of hard to
Communities involved.
dig through and find. It's,
Yeah.
everything's available to dig deep enough, but is there like a blatantly obvious way that you can?
The way I would do it is, there's sdgweather.com. In fact, it's a mobile application you can use on your phones, sdgweather.com. And it'll show you where the areas are and the communities involved. And then it'll actually rank it by the highest winds or the lowest humidities. And then it'll label the communities involved. So that's the easiest way I can tell you to do it.
My last two actual things here, sorry. So one was, so just a statement, I know you can't do anything about it, but those of us out here on solar, they disconnect us from the grid, we're not able to generate solar power. So during the peak times that he's talking about, part of me buying my house with solar was that it would kind of offset that expense by having to drive all the way out here to buy here. I've noticed that having a month where there's 5 or 6 planned power outages, which there were, I actually owe you money again. So it kind of negates it. So the ability to produce the power, not only is not having the power, but now we also incur the expense, So it's like, it's just some feedback for future programs. Maybe, hey, if you know these people are on solar, if you're gonna cut it for this many things, maybe retro the bill or something like that, because it was really shocking to open, like, oh shit, I owe them money. You didn't know? It was like, that's not how this is supposed to work. That's why this is designed a certain way, I know you can't control the weather, but the things you can control, like the planned shutoffs, that do affect our ability to generate power and offset our expenses, I think those should be taken into consideration. So that's just a public statement.
Well, I think as far as solar, people who have solar, you should pay us when I'm feeding power to you, pay me what you charge us.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it's backwards. But then,
Wait, what did you say about the light?
oh yeah, thank you very much for turning off the light. I do appreciate it. It did work. It was very thankful. Thank you very
I'm
much.
still waiting for mine.
Okay, is everybody ready for my questions yet?
One last one more, sorry.
Go ahead.
And then, are there any, it's kind of a stretch, or if there's any planned things, so out here being, when the power turns off, I have a medical thing, and you guys give me a little battery pack, which is cool, but it doesn't run the whole one. 40 amp 220, that doesn't get it done. Are there any, and I've been looking into battery packs for myself, and no matter what program I'm with, it's still hella expensive. Is there any SDG funded reimbursement or discount programs for adding battery? Because obviously the solar doesn't work unless you have power to juice it, and I don't have power to juice it.
I know there's a generator program.
Yeah, which won't be enough, because the generators that apply to that policy don't run 220 or 40 amp or higher. There are only certain ones that are 30 amp maximum.
I'm not an accountant, but there are credits for tax.
That's tax. So what's SDG doing? Because power, Joe Biden doesn't give a crap about Mr. Campo. You're the power provider. You're interrupting the circuit. If it's down, how do we sustain life? I got a house full of women, no showers, no toilet flushing. The booster pump's out of juice. It doesn't work. There's no way around it. So to me, water is more important to me than having my lights on, my pits on. When the power goes out, my water don't work, and that's my main problem. You know, so that's, I don't know if there's anything to that.
I applied for your generator twice and I was denied twice. I'm applying for one now because I'm gonna use my ramp as a staging area in case of fire, because I keep it clear. And it's close to Highway 80 and it's close to Highway 8. I just sent an email today stating that. I had a bunch of neighbors come and ask me to do that, and I said, yes, I'll do it, but I can't have a bunch of horses and livestock there if I can't make my well.
I think there are some batteries rebates as well for that program, I believe. But yeah, you can send information.
Just a quick follow-up, you were asking about the weather. SDG&E actually has a really good app that I use. It says SDG&E Alerts. You put it on your iPhone, and on that app it has updates for weather, information from 211. You can see the cameras. It has all the different drop-downs all on it. So
What's the address in that? So you can actually type the address in to go to alerts for family members, things like that, so you know there's something to check on.
SDG&E Alerts.
I got a question. On the batteries, are these batteries putting in now the same as the old ones?
Yes.
How come you,
No.
how come you took the old
So
ones
they're
out then?
gonna go in the same area as the old ones, just not 6 across the bottom. It'll be 2 closest more center to the plant.
But are they the same design?
No,
No.
these are
Completely
vanadium
different.
redox flow, so they're vanadium electrolyte.
Was it the old ones fail, or how come you taking them out?
We agreed to move forward separately from that supplier.
Do what?
We agreed to move forward separately from that supplier.
Part of the way it's from
So explain that to all of us, please. That, the supplier, you don't want to work with them anymore.
That unfortunately, that's all I can say about it.
Okay, did they
You're here to
fail?
give us information.
They probably
I'm
have
sorry,
NDA.
that's all I can say about it.
Oh,
We
so
came to an agreement with them.
You can't tell me any reason why?
There were some technical aspects of this that we both learned through the program, and that's through the process of all of it. We came to an agreement to move forward separately.
You have an NDA?
Came to an agreement.
So that's the question.
So the batteries you're putting in now, you said, have you taken the old batteries out?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, those are
and you said you have to do some construction to put the new ones in. So do you have temporary batteries in there now? Will it do the same thing if we
The
have
Tesla
power
power plant
outage
right now, yes.
for 6 days?
Uh,
Would it do the same thing?
So it'll probably be for good, about 2 to 3 days, but we have two 275 generators that are also connected to it. So should the state of charge of the battery come low, the generator turns on and is able to charge the battery while the battery is managing the grid.
Is that diesel run or what?
No, it's a lithium-ion battery.
And you-
Oh,
you're-
okay.
Well, they're diesel.
Okay, and then one last question. I know when you mentioned everybody in Camera Corners that are on your underground grid, you did mention the Dollar General. Are they on it or not?
They're not yet, but we're looking into making that connection.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they came after the
Right,
underground.
right, I understand. I was just wondering if you're gonna,
Yeah.
anything Camera Corners adds then, you would,
We need to look at what the capacity of what the plant is set up for. So right now, I think it can hold about 37% growth, right? So Dollar General can be added, but we can't just go indefinite, like 100 businesses, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is anybody on that system, is there anybody on that system that sells propane? Because a lot of us
Yes.
have, good.
Yeah.
2 gas
Yeah, there's the
stations.
Yeah, two
Sinclair
gas
and then the Campo gas station. Or Cameron Corners gas.
I had a question about your generator. So they're diesel, the backup generator is diesel for the batteries?
It's just a temporary arrangement until the
Why is it
batteries
not
there.
something green? Why
So
would you have
the battery
diesel?
actually runs it. In fact, those 2 events we had on the 17th and 18th of October, the battery was able to sustain the entire event. But if you had to go to multiple days, because we would have to use the generator, but it would only run for about 3 to 4 hours while the battery charges up.
But doesn't that include
Yeah,
polluting the
It's
environment?
only
with
temporary,
diesel?
and once the
So only temporary pollution's okay?
yeah, well, Yeah, we actually have a permit to operate this with the
That's
residential
control.
district as an emergency.
But you should have something green in place.
Yeah, that's why we have the battery.
Diesel.
Yeah, the battery runs most of it. In fact, like I said,
Even the generator, it should be something green. You shouldn't be including the environment
understand.
anymore
Well, sir,
than you need to.
wasn't a diesel battery running the lithium battery by my place until you got online? Keeping them going? I have a video if you want it.
No, that was to actually turn up, so us to be able to turn on the 480 volt and the 12 kV, we needed to plug in a generator.
Well, I have video day after day of that diesel generator supplying whatever that your job needed.
Yes, there's not entirely green solutions yet for generator type functionality. So there are smaller batteries, like the Tesla Mobile battery on the flatbed truck, but there's not smaller ones at this point in time that can have full capability to do what the community would require right now. So I'm sure someone's developing it.
So those batteries that you have, is that just running the stores over there, or is that the whole Campo community?
It's the whole Campo community, so all kind of 11 businesses over there, the medical center, the library, the middle school, the general
Just
store,
businesses.
taco
That's
shop,
just the
well.
businesses, that's not the whole Campo community.
We're
Oh,
not
yeah,
business-
sorry, just the businesses, it's Cameron.
How come it's not running the whole community?
No, yeah, it's not residential.
Its purpose is for emergency. People have a place to get fuel, to get food, that keep the telecom services available, like AT&T, and a place to get health care if you need it.
If you're stating that as the purpose of doing that, so if you're going to use your backup diesel generators, it would probably be a lot cheaper just to give everyone a diesel backup generator at the time than, because I still say you guys have motives of why you're doing all this. And its purpose is to make money and sell it to the highest bidder. And it's a farce what you're doing here with us. That's how I see it.
Corey, you have the floor.
All right, so, Dalen, I'm sorry. You know these minutes are published, right?
Yep.
You didn't pull the minutes from when you came here last time and review them to answer the questions.
No, I know a lot of the questions were related to Camden Corners, which I wasn't able to speak about last time. So I wanted to bring folks here to be able to speak to it more specifically when we had information about the new systems and everything that we're going in. So apologize for not looking those up and for answering the other questions.
So do you get how it looks when you guys come out and you give us a speech about a project that you're doing? It may be very beneficial, but how are we supposed to believe you when you say you're going to take our questions into consideration and then come back with answers? But you didn't write anything down, and you didn't even look over the minutes. So how am I supposed to trust any of you? Please answer.
Sir, I didn't know about the minutes, but now that I
You
do,
know the
I will
minutes are
gladly
published,
grab
right?
them. I did not until today, but now that I do know that, I will gladly grab them from the last meeting, and we can certainly answer that.
So how does it make the company look?
Not good, but I'm sorry for that.
Okay, so we know that these are published. Everybody knows this.
We do know
Everybody in this
that.
room knows these minutes are published.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's recorded. So one of the questions that I had was regarding unmarked vehicles entering private property. It has nothing to do with camera corners and stuff, but maybe you guys can answer it. Maybe you can answer it. Unmarked vehicles entering private property without contacting the owners first. You said STG&E, this is directly from the minutes. STG&E is a large company and that is a separate part of the company, but I will bring it back to the company. What did the company have to say? You can just tell me you didn't say anything, so it's fine.
I think we do have other contractors that do inspect a lot of our poles and a lot of other projects. And I did state that last time, but I'm not sure.
So did you bring it back to the company?
I don't know if I answered that specifically.
I might be able to help with that. So I work on our major project team and I actually deal with complaints like that quite often. So we do, as Dawn Young mentioned, we do have a lot of different contractors that help us. We have folks that go out and handle brushing, tree trimming, things like that. And we also have teams that go out and do inspections after poles have been replaced or worked on. So we do have some unmarked cars. Most of our truck cars that we have out there will have some sort of marking for the contractor that they work for. Personally, I'm not aware of any that are completely unmarked, so I don't want to say you won't see that. There may be some out there.
So the biologists that you have, you use, they rent all the cars, so they're all unmarked.
Certainly could be, like I said, I'm not saying there isn't, but like I said, a lot of the folks I work with, like one of our contractors is Highline, they'll have their logo on there,
Utility
AECom,
Tree
one of these
Service.
folks, Utility Tree Service, exactly. A lot of those folks will have a logo on there. But what we do have is what we call an access protocol list, and we have several teams that actually work with the landowners and our land division to make sure we try to call people. And like I said, I certainly know that that happens sometimes, but we try to call people and set up visits to let them know we're going to be on that property. So
He gave me a sign for my gate, and it is working.
So I can leave my information with you. If you know of someone yourself or anybody else out here that has an issue like that for access, I'd be happy to add their information to the access protocol list. And typically what we do is our team will call and provide 24 or 48 hours notice before someone goes on, including contractors.
I created my own sign that said, call, unless you're basically making a delivery.
Sure. But we have signs as well that we'd be happy to provide. It says contact our land division. Has a phone number on there.
I don't know if yours look different because, like I said, I made my own orange sign. It's a utility warning sign. It says, call for permission to access the property.
Fine.
Dude drove up. I mean, it was a utility truck, but guys, no badge, no nothing, knocks on the door, doesn't leave a call tag, nothing. I work 2 hours away, and there's some random dude in my house. Do I call the cops? Do I have the neighbor check on the guy? I have a sign that's posted that says you need to call for access. But
Yeah.
it wasn't an emergency. It wasn't a PSPS.
Yeah, we do, like I said, we work with our contractors quite a bit, and I'll certainly say it's a learning process, but I think a lot of our contractors do understand and certainly respect private property, but there may be certain instances when people do, if they're trying to locate a pole, maybe traverse private property, maybe inadvertently. And again, I'm not sure of your situation, but I'd be happy to take your information and add anybody's list to that access protocol.
Well, I had an incident where the guy switched from Davies.
Hold on, Rick. We won't bring up any situation right now because it's being,
Okay.
you guys are being helpful. I guess. Kind of. Did you talk to Taylor today? So, trying to be as amicable as I can be. I just want to go through what we went through last time and you were going to get some answers. It seems like you run the theme, so let's answer the questions. Larry, you asked, you discussed how the switches are used and if they're used correctly, the power should never go out. When it was first presented to us, the lucky few would be able to have power if the above ground power went out. And then you said you look into how the switches work and you believe that a human must hit the switches rather than the automatic. You know, answer that?
Yeah, it is automatic once the new batteries are installed. There is an automatic the way the trayer works, it will be automatic. When, as Lauren stated, when there's an outage that they need to validate that everyone's safe first because potentially the reason it went out was unknown, then we would want to send someone out just to make sure that the conditions are safe before they get switched over. It would still be manual or automatic at that point. It just needs to validate.
Anticipating that would be like a couple of hours or a day or?
Yes, generally it's a couple hours, yes.
Okay, so the next one is, thank you for the advance notice of preparedness. Who will own and operate the SDG LED microgrid?
So at the end, it's actually our Palomar generation plant. So they're located, it's the large generation plant up in Escondido, but they have an asset management team that will own all microgrids once the construction team is
Okay,
done.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So there's going to be a bunch of microgrids all over the place that are controlled by someone 300 miles, 400 miles away.
So you also have Mountain Empire right around the corner here. So if they need to dispatch, they can just come out as well. So right off the highway.
Okay. Let's see. Dylan, you talked about Mount Miguel, and they're trying to scale. Mount Miguel, Cameron Corners uses the iron sulfur batteries, but it's different now
Vanadium redox.
because of the whole battery thing, right?
Vanadium redox flow, the same ones at Belgium.
Yeah, Vanadium California.
But the ones out here are these.
These ones are different. The
Yeah.
same ones at Mount Miguel, do those same batteries.
So the ones that we installed in
Gotcha.
2017 are now being installed.
So how's it working in Mount Miguel?
Great, the best we have.
98.9%.
Who's that serve? Rancho?
The one in Mount Miguel,
Yeah.
it's actually in Bonita, California,
Oh.
and it actually serves a community in Chula Vista,
Residential?
mostly residential.
Is the goal residential, or what is the goal?
It's interconnected where the need was made, where it was installed where the need was back in 2017.
What's your scale, what's the scalability? Why is
For us out here.
Yeah, why is
Actually,
scale?
we'd like to look at critical infrastructure. So what is that critical infrastructure that's most impactful to the community? And then that's what we try to make sure that circuit is what's on the microgrid.
And then Rupert, you did ask this last time with some of the goal projects, and then you said to mitigate as much fire damage as possible. There's just more goals of that we, was it Melinda? I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
So you are working on mitigating fire damage, fire danger. You have the 10-foot radius, and you also have a different program where you go out further than 10 feet. It's called something else. I don't remember what it's called, but I have a video of a guy getting stuck by Africanized bees on my property. It's hilarious. So I forget what it was funny. Water contamination brought up. Is there any concern, just like a truth oil sequence, for water contamination? If one of these things catches on fire, well, this is the biggest, I think most people here would agree that water's our biggest issue out here. If something happens, if one of these catches on fire, hey, on whatever system you have goes off, and they hook it up to the standpipe there and they put the fire out. At my house, you could literally drop this into the ground and during the day and look down and it's gone. So what we hit water at 22 feet. So when if this worst case scenario happens, when one of these burns down, does all that stuff go into the water?
Yes, so first of all, the Vanadium Redox 4 battery we're installing here is non-combustible. It has like a 453-degree Fahrenheit where it actually will light on fire. It'll take a lot for it to hit that. So it's non-combustible. But this is not magnesium, this is vanadium, water.
So it's basically salt and iron and water.
You've seen
It's an
car wheels
electrolyte.
melt, right?
Yes, I have, but yeah.
Pretty hot.
So, and then what happens also is if there is a drop of electrolyte that does leak out of the tank, it actually shuts the system off automatically. And we actually test that with like a little drop of vanadium redox or vanadium electrolyte on the contacts, just to ensure that as part of our commissioning, that it operates correctly. So, and then obviously we also have containment on site. So there's containment in the structure itself and then on the site as well. As an extra measure, should it be mixed with rainwater.
Yeah, so if something is to leak out at Camera Car specifically, we actually have an 18-foot by, it's massive, but 18 feet deep concrete wall. It's almost a pool that's layered, kind of like a wave pool. It's directly under the batteries, sized for a 100-meter flood. So if all of that fails and something is to leak out, not only is it non-toxic because it is an electrolyte solution essentially, it still has containment underneath. And then we have pumps that we would get and pull it out before it hits that water table at the 22 feet.
Well, you just said earlier that you didn't have to have a contaminant.
So we don't have the type
And I
of
will tell you
containment
one
you're
thing.
referring to at Boulevard.
If it's
different.
only salt, what you just said, that will kill my pasture land where my livestock is. And my sand is out there is just like his. And during the hot spell or even rainy spell, it sucks right into the ground. So you guys are, like I said, you're giving us false information.
Different technologies, right? So different builds.
Still, any
different
contamination, like especially I'm saying to my pasture land, I see vegetation dying already on the neighbor's property because the culvert that runs between your lithium and the substation, you're directing all the water to that. You're directing the water off the lithium battery plant to Tool Gym Road. And did you take pictures of it this last rain? It went down the road onto Old Highway 80, and then it went to a neighboring property, which there's no house there, but it's still going into the ground. It's still something in somebody's property, and you guys are getting away with it right now because the owner's not being around and not monitoring it. I am. And all that comes down into my creek bed. So that's why, you know, I've been so adamant with you guys.
So Rupert, I agree with everything you're saying, and we want to be good neighbors to Boulevard, right?
Yes.
This is the Campo, this is the Campo like right
Okay.
But I agree with it, I think most people
Okay,
probably
what,
agree with
what
their
my intention here is to try to save you some grief. But it is what it is.
We've all seen your posts.
I know, I know. You know what? They call me the squeaky wheel out there, and they're dumb ass Mexican, but I ain't as dumb as they think.
I never go to that. So, sorry.
That's right, there's a piggyback on that. So if this is safe, are there MSDS sheets available for this, and would you drink this?
Would I drink it? No.
But are they, so the MSDS sheets are available for this?
There are MSDs.
And are they on the STG's webpage? Manufacturer, is there information for that?
No, we have an internal site where we store all the SDS sheets.
Is that publicly available if I requested a copy?
That's a good question, I don't know about that.
Or is it proprietary?
We've been on it before,
Yeah, but
we use it for
how much is
internal
chemical?
files.
It's still
but,
right to know, sort of thing.
Yeah, if there was an inspector on site, we would point them to where to get that.
There's still the right to know, right? It's
Yeah,
still-
I think we can give you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, MSDS sheets do give a lot of information. That's basically the boilerplate.
And on the outside of our fence, we'll have the chemicals that are inside the.
Yeah, well, it's the Prop 65 one. It's just all boilerplate BS. Everything causes cancer, everything has lead, everything has fallout. It doesn't matter. I want to know what this actual chemical is, the MSDS sheet plan. And then I can make an independent decision if that is
Yeah,
safe.
I think the proprietary information would be like what percentage of what, right? But we can certainly say like it has X, Y, and
But
Z.
the firefighter ready to fight here,
Yes.
they want an MSDS sheet, know it's hazardous, they need respiratory protection, what kind of PPE they need.
Yeah.
Is it flammable? Is it get in your eye, get in your lungs? What happens? That's stuff I want to know.
But even the chemicals you're gonna use, it's gonna go into our ground.
I'm sorry, what?
If you're spraying foam and stuff, and everything's gonna end up in our groundwater and into our land. So even if your lithium and stuff, you're claiming safe, everything they encase is still gonna affect us in some way.
It looks like it's a vague word, you know. Is it salt? Is it Gatorade? Like, it's Gatorade. You know, like,
Do you guys have an environmental report on that, like the long term, what it does to the ground? Because I'm curious on that.
I've been
Is there anything like that?
We completed a full health risk assessment back in 2016 for the original site. And I'm sure we'll produce another one when this site's in service.
But I thought
that was with the
anytime you
old
did,
technology, right?
No, it's the same,
The same technology.
same.
I thought
vendor.
anytime you did any type of construction or
We do
anything, you had to have
have
a
an
report.
environmental, we do have an environmental release that we did before we started construction.
Can you send that to me? I'll give you my email address, because I want that.
That's.
They'll say they can.
Now, Melinda, when you sent the environmental expert to my
Yeah.
site, what did he tell me that day? He said he did do environmental report. But what was the result of that? It was a visual report. So I told him, what, are you Superman? Can you tell by looking at that water running down from the living battery plant that that's clean? You were using nothing but dirty energy, backhoes, diesel additives, everything. It was running down the road. You could see the film, but to him that was clean water.
Melinda, I again, just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So, while Boulevard might be different in how it was built, because it was already built, right? This one that we're doing here is kind of newer.
So yours was actually, we started construction December 20th, 2020. So yours is actually older than Boulevard. We started construction, I think it was like August 17th, 2022. But different technologies. So the style of containment that's built into those lithium ion containers, they basically have hundreds of stacks of lithium, like just like in your phone, right? Hundreds of those versus this is a liquid. Looks like a red Gatorade essentially, and it produces the energy through osmosis. I'm not an engineer, but so different containment styles, different requirements of environmental perspective and what's needed.
So the containment being envisioned before I,
Yep,
and I just want to make sure I wrap my head around this. When I worked in the oil field when I got out of the Army, and we had a full containment system around all the wellheads, all the pumps, all the material, all the piping, on so if I remember what it was, is there something like that?
Yeah, there's a pit that's 18 feet deep, all the way across the bottom of where these batteries are.
Is lime something? Obviously, we know it will tell all of us that the liner will crack eventually. So with
There's a
heat and
liner.
weather,
Yeah, there's a liner, and then all of that's built up with a different style of sediment, rock sediment, and then there's basically there's a pump system that we can put in there. So if something was to leak, we can pull it directly out of that containment.
What kind of liner?
I don't know the name of it. It's just like
Probably
yeah,
the
it's a
same
black
thing.
material. Yeah.
It's kind of like the liner they put on asphalt roads, petrol, what you call it?
Because concrete is porous, so that's not a liner.
Well, the holding pond they have still isn't lined. It soaks into the ground.
Yeah. It's sealed.
What kind of fire suppression system do you have now for the temporary ones?
So the Tesla batteries actually, or the Tesla mobile battery actually has a built-in fire suppression system, kind of like a heat
Mhm.
load, yeah, built into those. So anytime you get those batteries, they're automatically built in, kind of a static max type system.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about the temporary.
Yeah, well, it's monitored 24/7. It's monitored by Tesla and then also by my team. And then I'll get an email for a specific temperature threshold, and it'll tell us if thermal runaway is possible. So it is monitored.
They're always monitored.
So what is your response time in case of an emergency?
Well, the fire department would likely
Well,
be.
they're not trained to do it right now.
Well, camera corners, they are. So camera
Well, one
corners.
spot, there's gonna be multiple.
Correct. So, but even so, the fire department showed up to your not your residence, but across the street 2-3 weeks ago because of we actually set our temporary fire monitoring panel too low for the condition. So they showed up and
And they corrected it, or you corrected it?
yeah, we immediately
Okay,
corrected it.
that's because I'm diligent about calling. I go to the.
Well, no, they got
hospital.
dispatched by the system.
I know,
itself.
but I'm diligent about what I'm making them check. They went over, when you promised them the training, they went right over it that day and talked to him.
Yeah, this is later, yeah.
Okay.
But we do.
No, I don't, I must
Yeah,
have been.
we do stay on top of all of the trainings. I mean, that's a huge thing across the county, not just the boulevard or camera corners. We do want to make sure that our fire personnel are trained in what they do. So they're showing out that they're safe in their job as well.
Well, I'm giving kudos to that, but you have to stay on top of it.
who do you meet with? Kravitsky?
Up at this chief.
So Burke is part of our fire control team, and then we have a guy named Mike Rottenberg, and so it's that team coordinates the training with CAL FIRE. But yes, that's one of the gentlemen.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Senator, for coming out, answer any questions for everybody here.
We'll pull the meeting minutes and follow up.
And yeah, we'll need to follow up when, about the time you complete when do you think that other project will be completed?
So
What's in
the
the battery?
batteries, we're shooting for the batteries to be delivered May, June timeframe, and then it's just electrical connections from there, commissioning. So we should be out, I would say, October timeframe, but you'll see activity happening on site in about February to October. So,
When do you think those batteries will be up and running for the community?
about August, it usually takes about
August.
2 months to fully commission. We'll
Yeah,
test.
we'd like another report then too, as you progress.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so are you guys committing to come to my advisory group meeting? Prepared, young man, I've been before your meeting, and you guys were cut off at the Boulevard planning meeting, I only gave you 20 minutes because Earl didn't want to let it go any further, but there for Boulevard, we had 75 folks show up, and we usually have 10.
Herbert, you want to just talk to them while we finish our
Gotcha,
meeting?
gotcha, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Herbert.
All right, let's move on here. Standing subcommittee report. No action taken. Does anybody have a subcommittee report? Do you have anything, Corey? go while you look at it, I'll do one. I talked to a person today, and we've got a new mechanic in our area. And I've got my vehicle over there looking at it. Got some head problems, but what I found out, he works on tractors, he works on diesels, he works on any type of a diesel from semis down to tractors. He works on cars, he works on everything, and he's across from the old egg ranch there in 94. There used to be an office over there years ago where the old egg ranch was, going east on 94 out of Temple. He's there. He's mobile. $75. You come to your house and work on your vehicles. I took mine over there and trying to find a head for it. So it's taken a little while, but in my opinion, he seems like he's pretty good. I got a couple other things. There's a couple of, well, not new, but there's a barbecue restaurant there next to the old Subway used to be there in Cameron Corners. They're trying to get their businesses going. They've been kind of back and forth. It's hard to tell when they're open, when they're closed. They've had something on Facebook, and I think they're about open 6 or 7 days a week now. What they'll do is prepare the food, and then they'll sell out, and then they close. I ate there, and it wasn't too bad. Potatoes were good, the coleslaw was really good, the meat was a little crisp. I don't like, real cooked meat anyway, I had to brisket. And we are seeing, since that kitchen ordinance went through, we are seeing a lot of things pop up. There's the swap meet across from the Campo Cafe that opened up, and then maybe you guys know about, is there a swap meet at the church now in Moreno?
We did one last weekend.
Is that going to be all the time, or is it just going to be once in a
I
while?
heard this was a one-shot time right now.
What's that?
One-time shot, I think, right now.
Well, it's a one-time shot. I've seen it on Facebook. I was just wondering if. And then there's other people doing Chinese food, and the guy right there in Cameron Corners, he's selling hamburgers and stuff like that. So there's a lot of activity going on. And then I was really surprised at the pit stop. I was there when it first opened, and it wasn't that good, but they've improved the quality and meat in portions like that. It's not a bad place if you want a sandwich. All right. Do you have something, Carl?
Nothing crazy that people don't already know about. The roads are wet, drive safe, check your tires, all that stuff, which I didn't do. Get new windshield wipers, which I didn't do. So go do that. I don't have anything from the sheriff's department, from the border patrol. Everybody knows what's going on right now on the road here, I imagine, with people just crossing where the fence stops and coming through. So there's a massive fire threat right there right now. I was there last, what was today? Monday? Yesterday. I was there yesterday. Showing my dad, and the fire started when we were out there. Border Patrol didn't have any fire extinguishers, didn't have any show. They had e-tool shovels. As I tried to put out the fire, I had, for some random reason, I had my old Boulevard Fire turnout coat in the back of my truck. It's like 20 years old. And so I took that and tried to pat it down, and the wind was just blowing through there. And luckily it was going that way, so burn all SCGD stuff down. We need to be careful. I talk to the Border Patrol almost daily because they come in my store, and the other night it was 120 people that they processed. It's from 20 to 1,000 people a day that they're processing. A lot of it's a much bigger issue that's being, and we're being shown or told about. I talked to a border patrol captain yesterday when I was there with my father, and there was a 10-year-old unaccompanied female minor with a group of 10 males that were in their 30s, and that female minor was not related to any of them. So he was a body camera, and he wouldn't say that it is sex trafficking, but I asked him if it was, and he may or may not have shook his head yes. So nobody's doing anything about this stuff. I don't know what we're going to do about it. I can't watch this happen for much longer. Kids coming across, they're out there right now freezing. It's a humanitarian problem, but it's also, we need to keep our borders safe. So, I don't know. There's going to be a fire, and we need to be ready. That's it.
Larry, I want to ask you a question. Have you heard anything more about the construction of that bridge on Buckland Spring?
I haven't heard anything. The only thing I know about is the signs that got put up on.
Yeah, I've seen the signs go up.
But I've heard that the state was going to do it with some federal funds, but I've heard nothing more. I've not been looking into it.
It's somewhere, and I don't know where it's at, but I think they funded it, but I'm not sure if they funded it to repair it or for a new bridge.
I don't know.
And then, did you know about, somebody said that they were supposed to have a ceremony for the bridge thing? Do you know anything about that?
The ball is in the county's court right now. They wanted to delay until early December. And they were going to have something, either at one bridge or try and do something at Pascal. But right now, we told them, we're ready to do something, to try and call people together and let them know what happened. But heard nothing back.
Okay. All right, now we'll move on to the chairman's report. And Billy Joe has some notes in here that there's still, the request for Sendag membership has been tendered, and we were currently waiting for our request to be agendized. So it's moving along. I think we will finally have a representative on Sendag, which is good. And this is just for the group here, for our members, is that at the beginning of the year, there's going to be training, and excuse me, the staff this year is holding an in-person planning sponsor group training via Zoom. As I have mentioned before, at least one person training is required for a new member. So Corey, Nick, and Richard will be required to show up in person for our annual training. Since it's so easy to show up for a Zoom meeting, I'm recommending that we all sign up in-person training this year as an opportunity to actually ask questions about the items covered as far as PDS and then they've got a meeting link. And the dates are January 20th and February 10th.
So, I'm a little bit confused. This is an in-person?
It's an in-person.
It's air quotes, in person, but the Zoom meeting counts as a person. It was sarcasm written in there. The in-person virtual meeting.
Got it. Joe wrote it.
Yes. In-person virtual meeting. Did you get in-person credit for being there virtually?
Okay, let me see here, what else we have today. I think that's about it. Does anybody have any comments before we close? Oh, all right. Any expenses? Request for additional agenda items or any agenda items for next meeting?
I was trying to get my computer working. It was busy today, and I missed the beginning of you were talking about across the street over there.
Yeah.
So you said the cemetery has they applied for a, just refresh my memory.
A permit, they apply for a permit to get access onto the property.
Okay.
Because they're crossing through the easement for public works. So they gotta get public works to come out now and inspect the actual locations, maybe an actual site inspection before they can actually start doing what they're gonna do because of the blind corner and because of the steepness of the hillside. So we went from no inspection, we can cheat our way through here on a weekend to, wait a minute, there was enough noise and saber rattling, a lot of people stepped up and we literally did it. We went from it was gonna happen that weekend to maybe around the first of the year.
Is that something we want to put on the agenda?
What do you want to put on the agenda?
Discuss what they're doing and they're moving forward with.
Crossroads Cemetery update.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cemetery update.
can you put that on?
I can do that. On Saturday.
Yep.
So is that public utilities at basically the shoulder of the highway?
Yeah, so like even on my side, both sides of that way, I shouldn't say my side, I'm on both sides, but your ground actually starts at the highway fence, more or less. And so there's an easement that you're allowed to walk on. I can't tell you can't walk on or anything else between there and the house.
But they can't modify that, so.
You're not supposed to modify that without a permit.
So basically the shoulder of the road, that they would need to modify to get to their property, they have to get permission to basically do any kind of activity on that.
Yeah, well, I know a number of years ago, we used to be able to make these roads because it is my business and we did a lot of these. But I'm going to say 15 years ago, not bad, 10, 15 years ago, we went from where we could just make our driveway kind of where we wanted to with a side plan, where all of a sudden, if we were, I'm sure you ran into this too, if you're on a main road, that all went away. And Public Works was supposed to come out and check it, and there's an additional fee to create an access on and off of the main highway. And they came about sometime about that time. I was just before when I did mine, but it came in just after I did mine. And so they were bypassing all of that for this temporary access, and we rattled enough cages that the right person got a hold of it and said, you can't do that. And it stopped it all. And so now they can go down to real drawing, the real site visits, and we're actually back to a real process as opposed to whatever that shenanigans was, in my opinion, that was going on between their developer and whoever his contact was in there that was going to look the other way so that they could get on there to start their tests with their water and all that. But that's an opinion, we're not necessarily sure as far as the shit.
Okay, any other agenda items? Anybody? All right, the next regular meeting is December 18th because of the holidays. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.